Valley, so we pretty much take up Pierce County, King County, Snohomish County. We have no boundaries.
She's amazing.
It's better to work for an agent who has business than to work for no one close to home.
I like it. And then,
She forgot Buyers Agent Superstar.
Oh, stop.
So
Let's ride the high chair.
I'm Michelle Macris. I've been doing this for about 10 years as the average John L. Scott. I typically work on our listings and thoroughly enjoying this market. Sarcasm. But just trying to learn whatever I can, just like all of you. Work through it.
sounds good.
Kathy Fullerton here at Keller Williams. Been in business about 5 years.
Josh.
Josh Hopp, been in the business about a year and 8 months.
Jeff Latham, 8 years.
Darcy Ann, 8.5 years.
Okay, so we emailed everyone the questions yesterday. This is just totally informal, so if someone from the audience has a question to ask or something like that, we just basically want to chat about buyers. Where would you say your buyer leads are coming from right now?
Just come back.
Okay, Darcy.
Probably split. Those that don't know, I'm on Anton's team, and so a lot of our leads come from Vision or Market Leader. I don't know what else would you call it.
Market Leader, E-Edge, pay-per-click advertising.
Yeah, a lot of those, and then great sphere of influence. So
Jeff.
Craigslist is really big for us. We generate a lot of buyers from there.
And how do you do that?
I leverage the best deals out there, bank-owned properties, and the cheapest stuff.
Okay. And take it one step further, because I want you to explain a little more.
Well, what we do is we break it down that maybe in certain sections of Craigslist that it's cheaper to own a house than it is to rent. We leverage bank-owned properties like we are the guys with the bank-owned properties, so the general public thinks it's us, even though it's him. And we take the buyers and sell them houses.
Yeah. What Jeff is doing a phenomenal job of is what they're calling in today's market, it's called inbound marketing. He's basically out there interacting with the consumer and their value proposition via Craigslist, and actually they have multiple value propositions inside each one of their ads that is taking the traffic from there back to a website that they control and then asking for their information. It's like, hey, you give me your information and I'll give you this, whether that be a free report or a list of properties or whatever it may be.
Reverse prospecting.
All my leads come from my rainmaker, which is him. You know, websites, Craigslist ads, newspapers. We've done a couple newspaper ads. I put a newspaper ad together for $89 in the Skagit Valley Herald and got a lead and made $2,800. So I mean that was pretty sweet. Referrals. I know another guy on our team, Jeff Gone.
he was right now.
Jeff McIntosh. I've had a couple from it, but Facebook. I know Jeff got like 3 or 4 last month from Facebook. You know, talking within our sphere of people we have. The 3 friends I've got. You know,
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
And then why did you run an ad in the Skagit? I mean,
Jeff's
isn't
mom,
print advertising dead?
Jeff's mom had some stuff going on, and she got some buyers from some newspaper ads that she had going in the Herald or something like that. Jeff kind of put us to the test to try to, you know, spend a couple bucks on something. And you know, I had 2 calls. One guy that was no good at all, you know, couldn't qualify to do anything. And the other guy was great. Closed him in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Specifically, what Jeff has said to me on another time is that, you know, right now, if you do actually end up advertising in the newspaper, you only have to compete with, you know, yourself. There's like 5 ads there. So as long as you've got some decent copy, you're most likely going to attract someone. Kathy, where are your buyer leads coming from?
I work on Mindy's team, and we do a great job with short sales. We've got a lot of short sale listings, well-priced homes, so we get a lot of leads off of that, and then we use writer boards where you can text message. I get texts texts, I get emails off of Craigslist, I get calls, messages.
Okay, so would you say the majority then are coming in off of the signs or then off of the internet?
Most of them are coming off the internet, most are coming out of Craigslist.
Okay.
That's pretty incredible, the Craigslist. Sphere of influence, client base, referral, really big referral base.
How big is your database?
It's actually quite small, it's about 500, I mean, relatively speaking, it's about 500. But we hit them pretty hard, we don't do a lot of outside advertising, farming. We also are relocation agents, and work with the e-business department, which John L. Scott, so we get a lot of those inquiries. But we do focus on our listings and getting calls off of those. And then Facebook, we've had actually quite a bit of success as well.
Good.
Hooking up with people we haven't talked to in a while.
And then when you're working your database, how often are you working your database? And then what method are you using to work it?
Well, we have a mail touch once a month. We actually have client parties.
I like that.
They're actually, they're attended,
They're
which is
fun.
nice.
They're really
How many people do you get when you throw a client party?
We had 100 last year.
Oh, wow.
We're probably gonna have close to 350 for our summer picnic this year. We do it with our loan officers. We try to, last year we had a casino night and it was adults only, so this year we're having a family picnic. So yeah, we actually don't spend quite a bit of effort on the outside public,
Sure.
other than people we know.
No, that's awesome.
But just to piggyback on that, every year, like for the non-confrontational holidays, like Valentine's Day and 4th of July, we go out and hand deliver gifts to our clients. And every year it gets worse and worse because there's so many more clients, so we don't have time for it.
Yeah.
But they absolutely respond. I mean, we usually get 1 or 2 vital calls every year when we do that.
Awesome.
Like, just we stay very much in front of our clients.
Yep, very
Awesome.
personable, very, very, very personable.
Personal touches. How many times a year do you think that you end up touching your clients?
With everything, 20.
Awesome. You're 4 million years ahead of me.
We have real people we work with.
Touche. Okay, the next question, conversion rates. So if you get 10 leads, how many do you convert? And what are your better converting leads? Darcy Brock.
Sphere of influence is better converting.
Okay.
99.9% of them I close.
Okay.
Market leader, vision, listing, lead, buyer leads, oh boy. I've had pretty good success, I think, in my opinion, but not sure.
It's okay, this is just a guesstimate. I mean, we're not asking someone to.
Probably 25%.
Okay. Jeff?
I don't know, I've never gauged it. If someone signs up on our website, it says all the millions out there, we're gonna usually win most of the time because we're gonna meet you, we're gonna meet the buyer and we'll convert. If someone gets face to face with us, we're gonna win them over 80% of the time.
Okay.
This guy even higher. And people just fall in love with it.
So the secret. So the secret for your internet lead generation is figuring out a way to get face to face, eyeball to eyeball, belly button to belly button with them.
You have to.
Okay.
I'm really not sure either. When considering the number of unqualified buyers I meet, I would say my ratio is real low. Usually if I can, get them approved, then I'd say it's a pretty high chance that I'm going to sell them a house.
Okay. Excellent. Kathy?
Out of 10 leads, I get, if they're not with another agent at the beginning, I can usually get an appointment. And often try to get them into the office, an office appointment, sit down and have a buyer's consult with them and get a buyer's agreement signed.
Okay.
That's what I strive for. And I'm probably getting, I don't know, 25% buyer agreement signed, when I actually get them into the office and do that.
Do you initiate a buyer's agreement with everyone?
No, I don't, and it depends on the price range, some of it.
So if it's lower, you initiate, or higher, you initiate?
Higher I initiate, some of the lower ones, I have not gotten ones because of just, I try to get a feel for the person on that. And the other thing I look at in my conversion rates is I looked at my numbers for last year, last half of last year, and the number that I closed this year. And I'm finding that as long as I follow up with people, I'm getting a way higher conversion rate. And it's, you know, I looked at 6-7 months, my slow buyer, I met her last October. But I just keep on, you know, just keep touching periodically, give her a call once in a while, shoot an email. And I try to do that once a month with somebody like that and the other thing is I make sure when I talk to them on the phone, one of my major questions is, who's your lender, and are you paying cash or are you gonna get financing? And for the ones that I'll set an appointment, but then I'll shoot them to a lender, have a lender call them to make sure that I'm not wasting my time on that appointment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Conversion rate.
Do you all use buyer agreements?
Hold on, show of hands just in the whole room, who uses buyer agreements?
Never used to. I am sold on them now.
I will not show homes without them. I'm a novice, but then I only sell 2 or 3.
Thank you for your honesty.
Well, it's true. But I'm going to show you 2 or 3 homes, and then I'm going to sell you one. And you're signing a buyer's agreement, because if you're not committed to me at the highest level, then you need to go talk to someone else. That's my 2 cents.
Question to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait.
Conversion rate. Sphere of influence, client referral, it's pretty
Really high.
Yeah.
9 out of 10?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
closing, definitely. You know, I think where we run into the lower percentages is going to be our, what we call e-leads from John L. Scott, and floor calls, things like that.
Because we're off Evergreen Way in Everett, and they're not qualified.
Sometimes I question if they're human.
They walked out of the apartment, they're on Section 8, they just want to know if they can get
They're
into a
on
house.
something else too.
Yeah, so, but yes, I absolutely agree with you that getting the lender involved right away adds that other tentacle to the team aspect that we have. You know, I'm kind of want to defer this to Jill a little bit more on what she does, but we really try to be consistent more than anything else with our processes when we get a new buyer, I suppose.
Okay,
I
excellent.
defer to you.
Anything
Oh,
else you'd like to
I
add?
just agree with getting in front of people. Like our listing appointments, the minute we get out there, it's a lot of personality thing more than anything else. And the minute someone trusts you, you're kind of locked in.
Yes.
So listing appointments, we do really well together because we both bring different strengths to the table. And so even though I don't do the listings, I'm always there with Michelle. Because maybe they like me better than they like her. I don't know.
So you go together when you tag team them,
Yeah,
basically?
yeah, always.
Yeah, we have really, we have, she's more, I'm more the nerdy numbers, and sometimes I have to get outside of myself, and that's where she comes in, you know, or she
I'm the
fluffs.
fluffer.
Exactly.
It's okay, I'm always the bad cop.
No, I know it's a bad cop too, right, but
She gives them the value.
yeah, and she'll point out how cute our grandkids are.
I love it, I love it. I'm going to combine the next 2 into one. Do you work with every buyer, and how do you rate or classify your buyers?
No, I don't work with anybody. Same thing, once I get face-to-face with the client, a buyer, most of the time, I'll sell them a home. Just because it's really about personality, making them see that I'm working for them, and it's a win-win for both of us. That's huge. They have to be pre-approved though before I meet with them. So I give them a couple names of a couple lenders and talk them through that and follow up the next day. And follow up is key in this whole thing. Following up with buyers, whether it's a lead from market or vision, or whether it's one of my own leads, and making sure that I'm in constant contact. So as far as how I rate them, A, B, C, D. I mean, A is a hot buyer that I'm calling constantly, that I'm working with, that I have under contract. B is somebody I know that's coming up. C is somebody that might come within the next, 6 months to a year, and D is maybe someday, maybe not. E is somebody that does not qualify.
Tire kickers, right?
Yeah, trash.
They came in off the Evergreen way.
Yeah.
All working up there.
I'm taking it. Jeff, do you work with everyone? How do you rate or classify your buyers?
We have a script that sets timing, motivation, do you have an agent, and gets the appointment. And then once they commit to the appointment, we'll dig into them a little bit more. Do you have a job? Have you filed bankruptcy lately? Stuff like that. And
What is your, because I mean, we're going to get to that, but what is your script to qualify the buyer before they come in, or the script to get the appointment?
what is my script?
Yeah.
Do you want me to role play?
Yeah, go
Is
right
that what
ahead,
you're
rock and
saying?
roll.
Okay. Put me on the spot.
Yep.
Ring ring.
Sorry. Okay. Hey, this is Jeff Latham. The reason for my call, I seen you signed up on my website, and I'm just following up with you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Great. Let me ask you, plan to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
We're thinking about 2 months.
Okay. Do you rent or own?
Rent, but we're on month to month.
Are you planning to stay in the area or moving out of the area?
Stay in the area.
And if you're moved, when do you think that might be?
Well, probably 1 to 2 months.
Okay. You have a realtor to help you when the time's right?
We fired him.
Say yes. Say
Yes.
Are you committed to your realtor?
No.
Okay. Would you like to receive daily emails from all real estate companies the minute they come on the market? Our list includes foreclosures, distress sales, and company-owned properties. It's an absolutely free service, and you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that be helpful?
That'd be great.
Great. When can we get together for 15 or 20 minutes so I can take exactly what you're looking for?
I'm free next week.
Okay, how's tomorrow work?
Beautiful.
If I give you a week, you're gonna blow me off.
Yeah.
So I need to set that appointment
Right away.
now. Right?
Beautiful. Thank you, Jeff, for letting me put you on the spot. I just knew your script was awesome. So you've got them in front of you. You're sitting there chatting with them. How are you going to decide whether or not you're going to work with this person or rate or classify that particular buyer?
Well, then we have a PowerPoint buyer's presentation, which we're teaching on the 19th. My last one, no one showed up. That's okay, I was late to it, but it'd be great if you guys come. There's some good stuff in there. And it asks for loyalty. We're working on getting the have them sign buyer's agreement, but right now handshake works. And then when they exit, we tell them, I'm gonna have my loan officer call you. We don't give them our loan officer's card and hope they call them because we'll never do it. And so immediately once they leave, we call our loan officer and have them just pound them, get them a loan. And then we put them in our CRM, which babysits the buyer. And so we have our loan officer and us both attacking them. Attacking is maybe a bad word, but our conversion ratio increases dramatically because you have 2 sets of eyes for one person.
Josh, work with everyone, rate classify your buyers?
Yeah, I'll work with anybody. As far as dispositions and market leader, we have A buyers, C buyers, or A, B, C, D buyers, 0 to 30 days, 30 to 60 days, 60 to 90 days, 90 days plus. Approved buyers, buyers getting approved, buyers in credit repair, because those are future buyers.
Right.
Obviously tire kickers, clients that were touring, or clients with other agents, because they may have another agent, but they get pissed off their agent and want to go somewhere else.
So inside your contact management system, you have all of those classified up?
Yeah, market leader, there's a classification for groups.
Yeah.
And so we went in and we plugged those groups in and then assign a group to each client. And I'm not very good at it, but the theory and the idea is that you would go into this this database and contact my A+ buyers and my B buyers and just go into your groups. So that way okay, well I got A buyers that are like really hot ones. Let's make sure I'm looking at those, staying on top of them, and contacting those, or at least once a month you go through and you can talk to your credit repair people to keep them, keep you on top of mind, but I'm not that good at it, so it's all coming in time.
It's okay, you just keep working at it.
One thing I wanted to say is market leader's kind of a giant babysitter. It just emails them properties and keeps you in front of them. But for those people you have met, they need to be set up on an auto search in the MLS. So it automatically emails you and then you forward it off. But you know when the listing comes through, you're going to look at it and you're like, okay, this matches the 10 buyers that I'm currently going to sell a home to in the next 30 to 60 days. That's really important.
Kathy, anything to?
Same kind of thing. I have my A buyers I'm working with and show properties all the time, you know, until they find the house. And then the rest are the VCD buyers are really on just a drip system or you know, contacting, just keep following them.
Keep counting on it.
Yeah, we definitely work with everybody.
Is that a good or bad thing? I mean,
I think it's a consistent thing.
Oh, perfect.
I think that we've heard a lot of, and no offense to anyone
Absolutely.
in here, but we've actually picked up a lot of business from agents who don't do short sales and
Yep.
will sell mobile homes and
Yep.
mobile homes. Everyone needs a home. I think just consistency again. I think everything, our business plan is based on consistency and you know, asking lots of questions, having the loan officer call them versus here's his card, go fly away.
Yeah.
You know,
Disappear.
Right. Really taking the lead and taking control of the situation is pretty key, and not letting them run all over you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty impressed with your systems. Actually, I don't know that I have it in me to do that, but I think that's really important.
He doesn't need
The wheels turning in her head, and I can see the list of homework I'm gonna get tonight.
I was just gonna say, Jill's done.
We're good. We're good. Too much.
No, that gave me a little bit of a headache listening to you, but I can see where you're very successful with it.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, again, always having the mindset that everybody knows somebody. So, you know,
Absolutely.
whoever walks in off the street, even if they're crazy, if I have some patience with that,
Oh, I
they may
totally
have a
agree.
non-crazy
Yep.
relative. So, it helps both of them.
Yeah, no.
I think she makes a really good point that looking forward with our transactions and, you know, okay, I'll deal with this person for another month or so, but maybe they'll have some good people, you know, behind them.
Absolutely. So consistently being involved with those buyers and asking for a referral or affiliate business. When I first, I think I was like my second year in the business, I remember talking to Mike about referrals, and Mike told me a story off of one client, he got 7 referrals. Like literally within 30 to 60 days. And that's, you know, you're in a relationship with this person, and so let's not forget to ask. You know, ask when we show the houses, ask when we've written the contract, ask when they're happy, and again, right before it closes and after it closes. Any systems that you guys use in order, I know we've mentioned Market Leader, any other systems that we use to follow up with buyers, to keep track of our business, things like that?
My red tools.
Myra Tools, okay, another database.
We have agent office that we're using, and we have a secret weapon, and her name's Emily. And she'll pound through the database and call people and set appointments for us also, because we generate, you know, over 300 buyer leads a month. And that's the biggest hole in our boat, is agents don't follow up with their buyers. They don't have time. I don't like doing it, so.
Okay, anything else anyone else wants to add?
Yeah, Emily's probably one of the biggest things, you know, setting those appointments, helping maintain the database. My keypad lets me in.
Oh, your MLS key, that's not too bad. That's awesome. Yeah. Anything else? But you guys use, anyone use Arch or anything like that?
I had automated hotlines, but I didn't use it.
Yeah.
I mean, too well for my marketing. Text message, we use that, but 95% of our business, or even 98% is buyer business, so So,
We hear more about text messaging, because I redid the Arch Telecom stuff, well, but again, we haven't used it lately.
sure.
And I'm curious to hear more about the texting.
We use it, I would say, out of all the ARCH calls that we get, probably 2 out of 10 is going to be a text message. The text message, what it is they send a text message, it drops them a link, and then it gives them 5 pictures of the home and like a 140 character description. And then little they know, it just text messages us. So theoretically, we then pick up the phone and say, hey, I see you looked at 123 Main Street, you want to see the house? By the way, I have some time on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're awesome, thanks. And that's just how I talk.
We have so many listings though, we get quite a few, I mean, a day of those, you know, whoever's on
Exactly,
call,
and
calls them back.
It's just about having enough signs out there in order to make that stuff happen. But according to a market research thing that was just done, 97% of all text messages are open. They're open within 4 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, so it's the highest form of communication that we have that's electronic. So maybe they're not going to call you off the sign, but they sure may feel comfortable texting. And then also some of our other friends in other areas, they have little stickers that say like free on them. Because, you know, at times you'll like sign up to get a ringtone and it's going to bill you $10 a month on your text messaging. So they have signs that say free, you know, this doesn't sign you up for a service, things like that. Go ahead.
We were looking at this contact software because we have a database of, heck, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500, maybe 2,000 people. It's going to be 10 grand, 10,000 people in a matter of a year. But there's this database that you can communicate with your whole database with one email, but it also does text. So imagine if you can just text your whole database with one text message and then see who responds and go fishing from there. Pretty huge.
I can add a bunch more systems unless you guys have some other things. We also use, it's called grasshopper.com. We use that for our sign calls. So what that means is it's a voice over IP system that sits in the cloud. And any one of the agents on the team can then be on duty. So literally you move your name to the top of the list and your cell phone rings first. And then if I hear 2 cell phones ring, I like want to open my door and be like, someone answer the phone! Because it'll ring to the next ones in the line and then it will ring to the next ones in the line. We also use Arch Telecom. We use that for their text messages. We have used voice broadcasting in the past, don't use that anymore. And then Market Leader, our own websites, Craigslist, that's another big traffic driver for us too. And I think that's it. Close enough.
Todd's starting to use video messaging on leads.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll hammer them a couple times, and then all of a sudden I'll send them a quick video, which is I think mail you or something like that. It's awesome, you guys, and you send them, hey, I'm Todd, I'm a real person, love to come out and meet with you, whether it's next week, next month, or whatever, and talk to you about your house. And you know what, people respond back, or you can, and it also tracks when they open the email, so it's kind of, yeah, it's awesome stuff.
Yeah, so Jeff and I, we taught a whole class about that. Another service would be ijot.com, but the whole idea is this, is your competitor is most likely not going to send them a video email. And your competitor is basically, they're sending them some sort of automated drip, or they're sending them listings just hoping and praying to God that it turns into a lead. Myself personally, what I'm going to do when I get on there is I'm going to be like, hey, my name's Anton, I'm a real person. I want to earn the right to be your real estate agent of choice. Let me know what it's going to take to make that happen. By the way, I have some time on Tuesday or Wednesday because I see you've been looking at the home on Maple. We've looked at it 7 times. So let's go look at that home. And I don't know, that's just how I'm going to talk. And so, because I'm a lot more forward than most people, and Nate sent out an email last week to a bunch of blast leads, and all it said in the subject was, hey. And then it was 4 lines in the inside. This is total D email. I'm going to delete you unless you respond, but if you want to stay, let me know. It worked. Literally, like, he sent it to 100 people because we start to get all of these internet leads that start to stack up inside these systems. Sent it to 100 people, 26 people responded. Okay? So what the message here is, you've got to get a little bit personal, you've got to get a little bit outside of that box and reach out and touch them. Other things that we do too is we'll send people tweets, we'll send them Facebook messages, we'll send them LinkedIn messages. If I can connect with you, I will find you somewhere. PI.pl is a people search engine that you can drop someone's name into, and then all of their profiles will pop up. Okay, so you know, you just registered on my website. I'm going to take 2 seconds. I'm going to Google your name. I'm going to drop you into Pipple or People or however you say it. And then I'm going to check Facebook real quick to see where you're at, what you do, and how I can find you. And then I'm going to socially stalk you until you buy, sell, die, or get a restraining order.
He's not kidding.
And I'm not kidding.
I'm getting that.
Okay, how do you keep your deals together? Because we all know that with the increase in the stringent criteria, we get these letters and these buyers, it says they're pre-approved, and then 4 things pop up during the transaction, it wants to crash and burn.
Consistency. Just doing every little thing possible that you can. I'm just thinking of a couple lately that's happened, so.
Yes.
I mean, you just try to find the loopholes and you try to find you do everything you can because they're buyers in this market and you want them, so.
One of the things I'm going to add on Darcy's behalf, what she's doing that's helping her to close deals is there's a consistent communication loop between her and the LO, and then when the problems come up, we're not waiting for the LO to solve it, we're helping or working in conjunction with the LO to get it solved quickly. Because a lot of times we're under a time crunch because it's a short sale, or it's in REO, or the seller's got to move, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Jeff?
There's a solution to every problem, so as they rise, we figure it out. But how we avoid a lot of problems is we just work with a dynamite loan officer who has a great team, so we don't have a lot of issues.
Anything to add to that?
Jeff, he takes care of it.
Jeff.
I'm getting better, but he makes them close if I have problems.
No, that's great. So as a team, what you're basically saying is you're out there making deals happen, putting them together, and then if it gets escalated, you say, hey, Mr. Fire Marshal, can you put this fire out for me? And then Jeff digs into it.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
So we need a Jeff and an Emily.
Yes.
What I'm hearing?
Yeah.
We're, a lot of education up front, particularly with buyers.
Oh,
Really
awesome.
teaching them, and we do a lot of short sales. I do a lot of short sales on the buy end, and teaching them what to expect. And I always try and give them the worst, and I tell them this, give them the worst case scenario and say, this is what you can expect, let's hope for the best. And that's, when I've done that, it's worked well. And then working with a great team, with the loan officer and all of their people.
What are you guys doing to keep deals together?
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I got a question.
Oh, sorry.
So, now what, if the buyer starts waffling into kind of like the time frame of a short sale while they're waiting, like, oh, maybe we should go look for other properties, how do you handle that to keep them in the transaction?
I set it up front. I say, I teach them really clearly about the difference between short sales and REOs and seller equity homes. And we talk about, what do we want to look at? And if they decide they want to look at short sales, then we talk about, if we're going to buy a short sale, the way to buy a short sale is to be committed with the short sale. And it will take 90 days to get lien holder approval. If we get a counter from the lien holder and we're not accepting their price, it's going to take even longer. But setting up front is crucial with the buyer. And then they get to decide, these are the options, and they decide. And I've had ones that still write offers on other things, but we talk about it. I thought you wanted to get this house. If you want this house, we need to be committed to this house.
So Kathy, I know you do buyer consultations, you bring them to the office and do how long do those consultations last?
It depends on how many questions, 20
Typically.
minutes, and
Yeah.
usually 45, or an hour, because I go over everything with them, and then we may look on the computer, set up a search. I'll set up a search for them right there, and then we might go look at something. It just depends on what we've talked about on the phone and how fast they want to see something. But when somebody comes into the office, they're ready to go look at a house. So I have delayed them by bringing them into the office, so I need to give them something sometimes. And we'll go out and look at 1 or 2 on that same day, maybe, if they're pre-qualified. The other part of it is I try not to meet with them until they're pre-approved. And I've met with them before. I've worked with my slow buyers since I was in October.
Still quick.
she became pre-approved, and she's still a little slow, but when she was in the office waiting to get pre-approved, I met her, finally got her in the office last January, I can't remember when. And Patty Soley was here, so I said I couldn't get her to call the lender. They were playing telephone tag with the lender. So they came in, we were looking at $240,000 homes online, just as we were waiting for Patty. Patty comes in and qualifies her for 140.
I love it.
So we had not gone out and looked at houses at that point, which was.
So just to kind of reiterate, then what you do is you do a lot of pre-qualifying, educating of the buyer, and setting the standards and expectations up front.
A ton.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good
Very good.
expectations dialogue that you're having, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna add something.
Go ahead, sir.
I just recently bought my first house, so I know exactly what a first-time home buyer goes through, and I think I try to press that with them to kind of let them know I'm right there with them. I've been there,
Yeah.
and so I don't know, something that I think.
I understand
really,
how you feel.
Yeah.
We're people.
Bring it tight.
Okay.
I was gonna say one thing real quick. As a buyer's agent these days, it seems like my job is to beat down those brick walls, because I feel like you hit brick walls so quick, and then you have to figure out, why is this a brick wall? Can we figure our way around it? I wish Greg hadn't walked out, but me and Greg just had a deal together, and my buyer wasn't gonna be able to get the loan because it was a condo, and the homeowner dues were over 15% delinquent. Me and Greg paid him, like some random
Someone else's
jerks.
homeowners.
Oh, no, yeah, yeah.
Me and Greg got it below the 15% so we could close the deal. But people were telling us no, and it wasn't, once you got the actual numbers and broke it down, it wasn't the end of the world. It made sense for us to do it and get around it. But these days, we have so many brick walls, that's all it is. And so you just have to be creative, and if one loan officer can't do it, maybe someone else can. Like, there's always other options.
Yeah, and definitely putting the fires out, thinking outside of the box on solutions is important, not just giving up. We've had a lot of situations where I think potentially some parties would have just thrown in the towel. And I mean, I know Jill's been had to be very resourceful lately. With certain situations.
What's commission, really? Like,
but I think Matthew makes some really good points of educating your buyers up front. Working with a really good loan officer team and escrow team. I'm pretty hardcore about that. I'll fight for that with my buyers and with another agent on a deal. Something we do is we send out contract dates to everyone at the beginning, and that kind of loops everyone together right away. So if there's anything that comes up, you can reply all the parties are in it. If any of you have worked with us, we send out this is what to expect, this is your dates. And so it's, especially an inspection day where there's a question of, what the expiration is, it's right there, we've thrown out that expectation.
Taking a preemptive strike. Mike?
I just want to make a comment, Joe, great job on the teamwork with Greg figuring that out. To put a deal together, that's awesome.
I have to give him a lot of credit too, but and he's not here, he was back there a minute ago, but it was, again, why is it a no? I've irritated more people in the last 6 months because don't tell me no, like, tell me why, and then see if we can figure
Tell me
it
how
out.
to solve this.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, last question. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Probably the only other thing I didn't hear is getting things preemptive. So things like looking at the preliminary title. I've been more surprised recently about how many preliminary titles I've seen with liens on them that don't have an ID affidavit attached. So I just send it over to them, and I have copies of an ID affidavit, and I send it to them with it, and I say, fill this out and get it back to me and I'll get it handled. Because those are the things that come up and bite you when you didn't realize, so.
When you're selling John Smith?
Absolutely, yeah. And so when you've been around the block a couple of times, you know what things are likely to come up. And I hear all the time, oh gosh, you know my job better than I do. Well, I hope not, but I hope that I'm able to do some things to smooth the way for you so it doesn't get up in the way too.
Absolutely.
Can I add?
Absolutely, go ahead.
We're also a big fan of kind of getting back to basics. You always have to do that, kind of renew. And I I know we all have different affiliations to title and escrow companies, but ours is with Rainier Title and Escrow. And for any of you who are interested, next Thursday at 11:30, we're having a how to read a title report. Like simple, elementary. I guarantee you, most agents don't know how to do it. And so it's going to be at the Rainier Title in Everett, and I think it'll be really helpful.
What time is that?
11:30 at Rainier Title.
Okay. Last question. Who else makes up your team? Title, escrow, inspector, lender, transaction coordinator, yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
Do you want me,
You want me to give specifics?
do you want me to just answer? I'll just answer. Our team.
Debbie Pop, right
Yeah,
there.
our team, I would say we have very strong affiliations with Chicago, with First American. We only really work with about 2 title companies really strongly. We work with probably only about 2 lenders. On our team specifically, we have a transaction coordinator, she has an assistant, we have a marketing person, we have a sign runner, and we have a bookkeeper, and then 8 salespeople. And then we work with probably 4 different inspectors that we kind of use on a rotating basis. And then we have probably 2 just phenomenal contractors, one that we use for probably 80% of everything, who just, Tony, there's an emergency, can you fix this? Can you fix this? Because every short sale in REO we sell has got a hole in it somewhere and it's dripping water into something. Or the furnace just blew up, or all the plumbing just got cut out of it. That was with Darcy, by the way. And so I think having that really strong team helps us to do business. Jeff, rock and roll.
We've got me. I just try and focus on making it rain now. We just brought Lisa on the team. She's been helping me with the paperwork because I can't handle paperwork. She reads the titles. Emily, inside sales, and she does a little bit outside sales. And then Josh, Jeff, my mom, and Sheila, buyers agents. So I think there's about 6 or 7 of us.
What are the affiliates that you work with?
Chicago and Guild Mortgage, and then a few inspectors. I just met our new inspector that Josh has been working with yesterday, and he's awesome and inexpensive. $225 or something.
Yeah.
Really?
Who's that?
That's the
His name's
His name's Fred Grant with North Star Inspectors.
And you think you go through?
Yeah, he doesn't cause problems like a lot of inspectors do.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Say what you just said.
He doesn't cause problems.
He does his job.
I want the inspector to point out every little thing. I don't want them to scare the buyer.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, see, obviously, I wouldn't be here without Jeff. So, you know, I hit a bump in the road, and real estate's kind of becoming more my thing now, and, you know, it's obviously because of Jeff, and we've had visions, you know, due to Bold, and it's just exploded since
Awesome.
that. So, obviously, Emily, Jeff McIntosh, Sheila, Renee, Lisa, Matt Price, Jason Gosser, Boyan. We have a Spanish-speaking loan officer with Guild. So,
Oh, cool.
I think that has helped a couple deals for me and Renee. And then obviously my, you know, God, my wife, my son, and
I love it.
Get the answer
Jeff.
now.
You know, one last person is, I wouldn't be in this business if it wasn't for him, is my coach.
Oh,
So if you don't have a real estate coach, you should probably get one. I mean, that's a really huge influence in why we're able to
amen.
start doing a lot more.
Mike hounded me for 3 years to get a coach, and then finally I broke down. Business is now going. Kathy.
Our team consists of Mindy on the listing side. Marty and I are buyer's agents, and then Jennifer is the carry. Doing transaction coordination for me, and then a ton of other things as part of the team. Then we use title company of choice, generally Chicago Title, when we have choices.
Yeah.
And also also for escrow, although we use, for short sales, we're using North Star, not North Star, North Sound escrow regularly for those between Lucy, short sale negotiator Lucy McCon with Cedar Sky Capital. They work hand in hand with escrow. 3 lenders, I think that depending on personality, I refer to 3 different inspectors. And when I need plumbers and things like that, I call you and say, who do you recommend? Or Mindy.
Anyone else?
My husband and God.
A lot. Okay, well, what's your guys' team?
We have a much smaller team, just, I don't like to share my money personally. So, Jill and I actually have been best friends for 25 years, and my dad is our transaction coordinator. So we have a very family-oriented team.
We trump each other's husbands.
Our husbands are a huge part of our success, very supportive people, help take care of the children. But we have a superstar loan officer team, Sean and Brian Saradellis, with Golf Savings, Sterling, whatever their name is today. We have an inspector we've used for 10 years, Steve Larson with Accurate Home. He's $250. He'll give you a handwritten report. He's so mom and pop.
He has a copy machine now in his car. He types it out.
No, he uses it for you. Rainier Title and Escrow, I cannot say enough about them. Christy Mills, if you guys have ever worked with her, she's fabulous. We have a couple of really great contractors. One in particular that can pretty much do anything. He can build a house for you if he needs to.
Yep. Anyone else?
Short sale negotiator.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a fabulous short sale
Who do
negotiator.
you guys use?
Tracy Minnick, Keller Williams Agent.
Awesome.
Actually, yeah, and she's down in Bellevue.
Okay. Any questions from the audience?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm very rarely around this many agents that I don't see every day. For me personally, buyer's agent, so many short sales these days. And one of the major challenges, I just heard Lucy's name, and I've never personally worked with her, but I hear you are right now. And I think they're having a lot of success. My challenge is there are a few out there that I tend to avoid because of addendums that seem a little sketchy to me.
They seem aggressive.
Very. Not that you have a problem with aggressive. But I guess I'm trying to figure out how do there's certain short sales that I almost refuse to write up because of terms or conditions that I've seen. And I'm curious if you guys have insight how to get around that or what you guys do as a team here.
For example, inspection, earnest money before approval.
Astronomical short sale negotiator fees.
Fees up front. I mean,
I got a whole list of them, but I'm like, no.
is there anyone else who,
is that a problem? What do you guys do?
What is everyone doing in relation to that? I can tell you what we do. What we do as a whole team is we want to try and force as many of those issues to happen up front as possible. But if you're not going to buy our listing because of it, we back down. And we also, when we're representing on the buy side, we just ran into that. Was that you or was that Tasha?
No, it was Tasha.
We just ran into that where, the addendum, for me, it's really aggressive. And it's one of those things where you need to consult with the buyer and you need to figure out what's best for that buyer. And if the buyer's willing to do something like that, what they do see on a national level is the more the person commits via earnest monies, via inspections, things like that, the more likely it is to close. But they have to realize that they're running a larger risk financially because the short sale may never close. Mike?
I worked it more from a coach consultant standpoint. I think you have to step back away from the transaction and take a global look at it and say, how good is the value here? Okay, because if it's something where the client's really getting an exceptional deal, I think that's something you have to point out to the buyer and say, here's the thing, the lender is being aggressive as far as their requirements, but if you're in a position to work through those, I think you're getting this much value in the house, and I would say not to make a big issue about the things, if that does apply. If it's something where it's not that good of a deal, and they're still having to jump through the hoops, you know.
And it's also, for us, really gonna depend on lien holder. So like, if it's Aquin, forget it. I mean, realistically, you're just not gonna make it. There's certain ones, like if it's Home Street, sweet. We've closed 2 short sales with Home Street, and both of them closed in less than 2 weeks. Wachovia, there's another really good one. Anyone else have anything to add to this? Go ahead, Lance.
Well, I think Mike touched on it, and it's just, and, you know, it's been mentioned, just buyer education. You know, I don't try to drive anybody into any home. I try to let them know what's gonna happen, what might occur, and keep them informed, so they can make an informed decision that will work for them. And if it works for them, I'll get paid. And I don't want the last thing I want is for everybody to hate everybody and part ways.
Right.
You know?
I'm just finding, and I think Jill is too, that we're always gonna be open with our buyers
Yeah.
and know what their, you know, what their expectations are, but we have yet to find a buyer who are agreeable to those terms, because you bring up a good deal. What's a good deal? Because you don't know until, you know what I mean, and so that's where I get a little sketchy too, but